Hello everybody and welcome to Story Time with me, Miss Anna. Today's story is happening right here in South Africa near the Kruger National Park at Mjejane Lifestyle Estate. And you can see the beautiful surroundings here. And our story is an African folk tale. Now, what is a folk tale? A folk tale is a traditional story that people in certain cultures tell each other. It's not necessarily true stories, but it's stories that people tell amongst when they sit around the fire and they're having a barbecue or something, and they are telling stories to each other, and they pass it on from one family to another family. And that is what today's story is about. It's called Enormous Elephant, and the author is Mwenye Hadithi, and the illustrator is Adrienne Kennaway. Enormous Elephant. Right, can everybody see? In the days before the big rains, many of the animals on the Great Plains looked very different. Python was short and fat. Ostrich had a short neck and very short legs. And elephant had a short stump of a nose and a short tuft for a tail, but a very big body. They do look different, don't they? Like the ones we're used to. Elephant has such a short tail and such a small nose. Python giggled. And they stuck on either end of such a large body. It makes him look enormous, laughed Ostrich. I'm not enormous, grumbled Elephant. I'm just big. My nose is small and my tail is short, so I look bigger than I am. Since Elephant could only pick up a small amount of grass and water in his little trunk, he had to spend all day eating and drinking. This made him look very greedy. I'm not greedy, grumbled Elephant. There's just a lot of me to fill, and I can only put a small amount of that at a time. So, Enormous Elephant and his family spent all their time going from lake to river to pond and back again, drinking and eating for hours. They travelled in a long line. Look at that. Each short tail in front held by a small nose behind. In a big mud lake, there lived a very large crocodile. Nobody had ever seen him, but everybody knew he was there. As the sun grew hotter, the rivers and ponds dried up. Soon the elephants could not find enough water to drink. So one evening, as they passed along the shores of Big Mud Lake, Enormous Elephant dipped his trunk in the water. That's where the crocodile lives. Just the very tip, just a little bit. Under the water, look. Now the water was so low that the bottom of the lake was rather close to the top. and very large crocodile was only just covered by the shallow water. The crocodile opened one eye, and there he saw a small wriggling wiggler. So he opened his mouth and snack! Oh my goodness! Help! Cried Enormous Elephant as he suddenly found his trunk was stuck. He tugged and he pulled, but it was trapped in the water. Each elephant held fast to the one in front. Then the whole line of elephants hauled and heaved, but Enormous Elephant's trunk was still stuck. Ostrich was passing and took the tail of the last elephant in her beak. She strained and skidded, but Enormous Elephant's trunk would not budge. Help! Yelled Enormous Elephant. Python was passing and held tight to Ostrich's feet. She dug and she twisted, but still Elephant's trunk would not pull free. They're all helping. The ones that made fun of him are actually now helping him. Spider was passing, and when she saw the animals in a long line, tugging and pulling, she spun a silver rope. She tied one end to Python's tail, and the other end she wound round and round a baobab tree. Then, as the evening began to blow strongly, the baobab tree leaned with the wind, and the silver rope began to tighten. At the bottom of Big Mud Lake, Very Large Crocodile felt his jaws begin to ache. Since he was rather attached to his teeth, he opened them with a sudden snick, and Enormous Elephant was free. All the animals, because they were all pulling, all the animals tumbled backwards in a heap. They picked themselves up and dusted themselves off, and then they began to laugh. They had all been stretched and stretched. Ostrich had a long, thin neck and such long legs she could run like the wind. Python was long and smooth and snake-like. She could slide and stretch and slither. And when they saw Enormous Elephant with his new long trunk and his fine tail, they realized he wasn't enormous after all. He was just right. On the Great Plains, Enormous Elephant and his family showed off their new trunks and tails to the other animals. And every evening by Big Mud Lake, one more elephant would come and dip his trunk in the water, but just the very tip, just a little tiny bit. And to this day, elephants tromp proudly across the Great Plains, waving their trunks and swishing their tails. The end. I hope you enjoyed that folk story and that you've enjoyed your adventure with me in Africa. Have a lovely, lovely week. I'll see you next time.